Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're taking a look at XRP and specifically the most recent price action of this particular coin. As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here. Right, with that said, done that way, let's dive into what is going on here with XRP. Now, this is the hourly, but we're going to first of all just drill right back out into our weekly, just to talk about the bigger picture, because it's important that we understand where things are going, where they have been, and what our thoughts are for the future of XRP before we get into the most recent kind of price action. Okay, so again, like we usually talk about here, there's a good move to the upside, but it is being held back quite significantly by the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit. Now, this is quite a natural and normal thing, but there is going to be a built-up demand for this particular project once that case actually comes to a bit of a close. Now, I personally do believe that it's going to be a settlement that we finally see happen here, and I think this is just around the fact that I think the SEC are going to want to settle rather than riding it all the way to the end, because I think if it were to ride all the way to the end, I think the fair notice defense stands, and ultimately I do feel that that Ripple would win the case if it were to go all the way to the final stages, right? And you know, that's why I think we're going to see a settlement overall. And why I think once we get that settlement, which I think will also need to include some form of clarity around XRP, that will go after this run over here. This would basically be like a $15.91 area for XRP. That would be the kind of price prediction. Now, that would come in at about 1,300%, approximately. We just adjust that to the wrist. Yeah, 1,394. So basically 1,394%. From the current position up towards our $16 price target. Okay, so quite a significant push to the upside, and basically during that run there, you would see a pretty good price target get hit of about the $16 range, the 4.236 extension of a Fibonacci retracement. Now, that runs from the previous all-time high and the bear market low. Okay, so from that high point and that low point, that seems to be a most sensible place. Now, obviously, we can't really use too much of the current performance to really be a factor of what would happen if we got a settlement. Now, if we don't get a settlement and we see the end of the bull run kind of come in with the lawsuit still going on, then in which case there's a different Fibonacci price prediction, and we'll get into that in a moment on the smaller time frames. But this is all around whether or not we're going to see a good kind of conclusion to the lawsuit between Ripple and the SEC. If we do, then I think that's kind of like a big green light to XRP, and I think there's going to be a lot of FOMO going in here. And again, it's important that we understand that market capitalization isn't the barrier. Market capitalization is nothing more than a simple calculation between what is the last sold price multiplied by the circulating supply. And a good example of why market cap does not represent the amount of money going into a project, or does not represent the value of a project, or doesn't even represent the liquidity of a project is, let's say I was buying XRP down here at less than 10 cents, for example, and it is currently valued at $1.07, right? I didn't pay $1.07, I paid less than 10 cents, and therefore the market capitalization is based on my circulating supply, or my supply of XRP being valued at $1.07, although I paid less than 10 cents for it. Therefore, we have to understand that market capitalization does not represent the money that's flowed into a project. It does not represent the amount of money in a project, and it does not represent the amount of money in terms of liquidity of a project. It is a simple calculation that means very little. It's the last sold price of XRP multiplied by the circulating supply of XRP. So in order to see the $16 price target get hit, there's two things that have to happen. One, we need to have a squeeze on the supply. Getting a squeeze on the supply, i.e. people buying it up, holding it, and not selling it until it reaches their price targets, is step one. Okay, once we have that acquired and sorted and there's a squeeze on the supply, step two would be to have some kind of fantastic news or some kind of catalyst that sees us FOMO into a project, okay, or sees retail investors FOMOing in. This to me would be basically a settlement which gives XRP clarity. Under those kind of conditions, we could see XRP surge to the upside and take out that $16 price target. And I think that will be potentially even conservative at 1,300%, just under 1,400 really. It's a really, really small price spike for something of this caliber, and specifically as something that is well known within the space, and all eyes are firmly on this lawsuit. It is leading the industry because what happens with Ripple and the SEC lawsuit is something that's going to ripple, if you will, through the entire crypto space. So do pay attention. It's an important one. It affects almost all cryptocurrencies. What happens with this case could seriously have a knock-on effect to the other projects in the space as well. So it's an important one that we have to acknowledge. We can obviously acknowledge as well that the SEC are going after Coinbase now. They've also launched another lawsuit against another firm for unregistered securities from 2017. And if they have the same approach to those cases that they've had with Ripple, then it's simply just going to be even more embarrassing for the SEC overall. I feel that we need as a space to become collective against the SEC. So all in all, on this weekly chart for XRP, I do see us with a settlement. That's the most likely outcome, I do feel. And as a result of that, I think XRP would have clarity. And with the clarity, I think we'll end up going towards that $16 price target. However, if we do not see the settlement or some form of understanding between the SEC and Ripple before the bull run ends, then I can see under the current performance, XRP rising to around that $5.58 area. This basically would become the equivalent of a 4.236 extension, but under the current performance, i.e. we'll take the high point during our push to the upside in, I think that was like April time, and the low areas that we achieved during the June-July time, okay? With that high and that low, that kind of predicts out that we should end up at about $5.58 in this last leg of the bull run, okay? But in order to kind of push through this and to go to the next level, I think we do need to see settlement. Otherwise, what we'll end up with is basically around this $5.58 area. And again, that is not awful either. For many people in the space, that's a huge, huge win. Anyway, I was buying XRP at sub 10 cents, so for me it's an absolute fantastic win scenario anyway, and I think for many people in the space it will be too. Obviously there are significantly higher price expectations for XRP, and again a lot of the use cases around XRP is also a very interesting one that we also have to acknowledge. So right now everything that we're talking about is really interesting price targets. Again, this is all around FOMO, speculation, all of that kind of stuff, but this is the stuff that's inside the technical data at the moment. What would potentially happen if XRP was to actually fulfill its use case? Well, that's where we have to reassess everything in a totally different scenario, but it could surge nonetheless. Now, with this daily chart, we can, of course, see the XRP stochastic RSI is all the way down in an oversold area, 4.2. So huge amounts of potential to grow back to the upside. With Bitcoin's recent pullback earlier in the week, that was actually a key area for XRP, looking to take out that 786 area, but with the rejection has pulled it all the way back down here. And I'll get into the hourly in a moment. There's a few things going on there that's also really worth talking about. But also just wanted to kind of highlight here that we were rejected from the key Fibonacci areas as Bitcoin was pulling back, allowing us to pull all the way down to the 382 area, just less than $1 before bouncing back to the upside. Now we are holding a support line, so we're going to get into that in a moment as well. So overall, the daily is in a really good position, huge amounts of growth to come in the future. Same way with the weekly, it's looking very, very good. When we jump down into our hourly view though, this is where we start to see a bit more of the most recent kind of things that have been going on in the space, right? So as I said, this yellow box area is our 618, the 702, and the 786 area. We were going up nicely, right? And when we were actually at this point here, we had a lot of momentum behind us. We were looking to track and go above the 786, but instead Bitcoin pulled us all the way to the downside, right? Pulling us down into these lower areas below the dollar level and so forth. So all of our work here testing that 618, going up, testing the higher areas here, testing and getting past the 702, moving up towards the 786, testing our trend lines and testing and support lines, etc. Were very frustrating to see all that kind of momentum wiped out. But it did take us down to some interesting areas. And again, coming down all the way to the oversold area, looking to bounce up here. And we did bounce well up above the 50% area. And what we can see is we're setting these higher lows every single time, right? So we now have a good upward trend line appearing and basically just testing this area here every single time, these higher lows being set, right? So that's a bullish kind of tail there. There is, of course, the downward trend with 2 touch points. And again, interesting, it's quite far apart. This trend line to the upside has a lot more touch points, a lot stronger than our downward trend, but it's hard to say which one's going to win at this point in time. When we take a look at this recent price action, we can see that there is a triangular wedge that is being formed here, and it's right on top of our support lines as well. So, and we have this triangular wedge, and what we'll look for here is a break to the upside in the very near future. And right now we are pulling back down. There's not too far to fall, but there is potential that we could invalidate our trend line here as we go after the $1.04 support line. So what we really want in an ideal world is to come to our support line, upward trend line, and then come up here, get squeezed in, and then have a good break to the upside. The main thing that we want XRP to do at the moment is to continue to hold this support. The support of $1.07 is absolutely key, so we want to get that one back under the belt, but we also want to keep our trend line working for us rather than working against us. So right now, this is a key moment for XRP. We want to see it kind of break to the upside. In order for that to happen, we need an upward trend to hold, and so everything in the next couple of hours is going to be really key for XRP to see if that holds well for us and whether we get that break to the upside overall. Failure to do so, we will probably pull back to the $1.04. And that would probably hold quite well. And again, from here, we actually have another triangular wedge, a downward trend line forming with our support line at the $1.04. Again, that could also be the scenario that we see break to the upside as well. We are obviously really low on our daily stochastic, so we know that there's going to be a push to the upside in a really significant way. We're just waiting for our hourly to allow that to happen. And everything here is looking like it's working up the courage to do so. So we can take a look at the volumes, they're really, really low. So it's not going to take too much now to really see the volume start to grow back to the upside like we saw previously. And what we saw over here was this green candle launch all the way to the 618 and find that resistance before coming back down. So what we're looking for now is that volume, that sentiment, that really positive kind of notion to the upside to really swing and take us to that next level here for XRP. Overall, I'm not too concerned on the smaller time frames for me. I also like to pay attention to what goes on the weekly, make sure that we're aware of the longer term vision and all of that kind of good stuff. Guys, hopefully you have found this brief update on XRP useful and informative. If you have, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.